Coal ash ponds have been known to leach harmful heavy metals into both surface water and groundwater, as well as the surrounding soil.
Currently in the state of North Carolina, there are 7 active steam power plants that generate coal ash, which is the product of burning coal. Usually characterized as a gray, powdery slurry, it is known to contain heavy metals such as lead, thallium, chromium, and arsenic. Heavy metals aren't heavy in the way an anvil is heavy. Rather, a heavy metal is a dense metallic element that even in small concentrations is highly toxic. But how are heavy metals toxic, per se? In order to find out, we'll delve deeper into both the biological and chemical background of DNA and heavy metal toxicity.
DNA, also known as deoxyribonucleic acid, is the most important molecule in your entire body. But why is it necessary to think about DNA in the context of coal ash ponds? Let's find out. DNA is composed of 4 bases and a sugar phosphate backbone. The bases A, C, G, and T function as the applicable information, while the sugar phosphate backbone gives the DNA its unique spiral staircase shape known as the double helix. The order and arrangement of the bases determines the information stored. For example, a person with brown hair has a different order of bases than someone with any other color hair. When a person is growing and their cells are dividing, their DNA is copied. It does so in a very exact manner, base by base, exactly the way it was before, resulting in 2 cells that are identical. Many of the heavy metals found in coal ash are toxic because these heavy metals cause changes in the bases of your DNA, and those changes are often associated with cancer. Before we can learn about how heavy metals change the sequence of bases in DNA, we need to know a bit about chemistry. What makes these heavy metals able to damage your DNA? To answer that question, we need to talk about what makes an element able to react with another. And the answer is electrons. The average atom has at least 3 subatomic particles: a positively charged proton, a neutrally charged neutron, and a negatively charged particle called an electron. Elements can have many electrons, sometimes numbering in the hundreds, but the electrons that are most important are the valence electrons, or, in other words, the electrons that are farthest away from the center. These are the electrons that react while the rest do not. An atom can have anywhere from 1 to 8 valence electrons, but they prefer to have 8. Valence electrons are shown as dots around the chemical symbol of the element. For example, oxygen has 6 valence electrons. It appears as an O surrounded by 6 dots, 2 dots above, 2 dots to the right, and 2 underneath the symbol. Chromium and arsenic damage your DNA because of the number of valence electrons they have. Electrons are negatively charged particles, so an atom's overall positive charge means that the atom is likely deficient in electrons. Chromium bonds with oxygen 4 times, which your cells treat like a structurally similar sulfate ion, or SO4-2. Once inside your cells, vitamin C gives 3 electrons to the chromium. In this form, the chromium is able to bind with the sugar phosphate backbone of the DNA. It causes mutations, or changes in the sequences of the bases, in which the bases are replicated. For our project, we hope to find a connection between Northwest North Carolina's incredibly high breast and prostate cancer rates and coal ash pond pollution. We'll be focusing on Belews Lake and Belews Creek, North Carolina. We'll be taking soil and water samples from Belews Lake right near the power plant, or as close as we can get. We'll perform a series of analyses to determine if there are heavy metals or other pollutants present in our samples. Upon completion, if we do find pollutants in the water and soil samples taken, we would like to expose human tissues to the samples and record the effects. Doing this will allow us to see exactly how the pollutants are affecting human cells. If all goes to plan, the professor that we are working in conjunction with plans to submit an academic paper to be published. We'd like to thank Maya Derry for all of her help in giving us so much creative license, Dr. John Bang and Christine Stracy Richard for doing such a great job as our advisors, and Sam Bennett for all the video help.